There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grow Wealthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee. We are practicing on some new equipment today, so I am very excited, and I hope that you guys can hear me. Please feel free to like or put a comment in the chat box. That way I know that you guys can hear me. I will be playing a little bit around with stuff. That way I can make sure that this is going well. It's very fun. I like this so far. So let's talk about what our topic is today. Today, I'm really excited because we're going to do a crash course of a groomer budget, aka Budgeting 101. And I know this is going to be a little bit clunky because of the software that I'm just trying out. So I hope that you guys enjoy it and at least get something out of it. So go ahead, guys. Like I said, like or put in the chat box that somebody is, you guys can hear me. Perfect. Excellent. So let me go ahead and I'm going to show you guys what we're going to be working on today. This is my Budget Essentials, which is also called Budgeting 101. And what I want to talk about in this is basically what we're going to be doing in here. So as you can see, we're going to talk about, we talk about our budgeting based upon survive, live, and thrive. Survive basically is your four walls, making sure you have food on the table, clothes on your back, roof over your head, and you are able to get to places. And then we walk into the next step, which is live. And what live is a little bit better entertainment. Things like if you're an employee versus a business owner, we're going to talk about sharpening and maintaining our equipment, entertaining yourself like Netflix and things like that, as well as being able to communicate with others, such as phone and cell phones. In Thrive, we're going to be talking about things that right now a lot of us aren't thinking about, with things like charity, health insurance, and if you are already not a business owner, starting to save for things such as business coaching, grooming education, and things of that nature. And we're also going to go over the basics of our different savings accounts. So like I said, I'm really excited to start. And I do have some basic numbers. I wanted to start our grooming budget on something pretty small. I wanted to talk about a grooming budget of about $2,000. Now, the reason I wanted to go small was because I feel like some people have large budgets. I'm one of those people that my monthly budget for my household is between $4,000 and $5,000. And I know I'm in the Northeast, that's very high. However, a lot of us who are either baby groomers or perhaps are first starting out, and because the numbers are a little bit easier, I think starting with a budget, assuming that our groomer has a salary of $2,000 a month would be great. And then I also want to talk about, if you have a regular income, how to begin doing that. All right, let's get started. And again, I will have the comment box right above. So if you guys are having any questions, please feel free to put the comments below. That way I can read them and I can answer any questions as they come up. Okay, so let's go ahead and great. Here we go. Let's begin. So when we first talk about this groomer, we're going to write down, and I have a little pen and paper. I want you guys to go ahead and start with $2,000. The reason why is so we do what's called a zero-based budget. What a zero-based budget is you have $2,000 and we're going to give every dollar a mission. But first things first, let's look at how much this groomer spends on average. So this groomer, let's say, spends an average each month of about $200 on groceries, which is very normal. Now, in this budgeting PDF, you see month's end. In a perfect world, you would go ahead and put how much you spent in that month. And these are very basic budgeting. We have even more in-depth one that we have in our online course, which is Personal Finance Unleashed, which goes through the ins and outs of budgeting. But for the beginning simplicity, this is something that's going to allow you to just start very simply. So this groomer spends about an average of $200 a month on groceries, $100 a month eating out. She gets a $2.50 coffee a day, 5 days a week, which ends up being $50. So right now, I'm going to put it right here. Right now, they spend an average of $350. And if you want, you can put the little dollar sign, doesn't matter, on their food. Right now, they spend an average of $350 a month on their food. Now, clothes on your back, you generally don't have to buy a ton of clothing. But when you do buy clothing, you're going to end up spending a little bit of extra money. So let's say professional, we're assuming this person is an employee. If they go out and buy one set of Maximali, that's going to be an average of $20 to $50, depending upon what they're going to buy for their smock and pants set. And so, and the same thing, if they're going to buy home, let's say if they're going to just buy leggings or a sweater or a coat. So generally what we do with our clothing is create what's called a sinking fund, which is basically you put a small amount into this fund for each month. If I'm going to buy a pair of Danskos, let's say they're $100, but I put $50 a month away towards them, then in 2 months, I will have enough money to buy those. So I'm going to just say that I'm just going to put it right here that she spends an average of $50. And I'm just going to add that there because this person, I'm assuming, is single. They don't have children. They don't have spouses. And I don't want to worry about spending extra money on kids right now or even worried about their spouse's income because I want to make this as simple and easy as we can. So already she's spending an average of $350 here on her food. And now we know she's spending an average of $50 or at least have a sinking fund of $50 a month on her clothing budget. Now this person also has $750 on their rent. Oh, I'm sorry. I had written $850. Let's say they spend an average of $50 on electricity and the same on their heat. I'm going to assume this person's in an apartment, so thankfully they don't have to worry about water or sewer. So let's go ahead and just assume that's zero. Now, if you want, you can put zeros in everything. I'm just not going to do that right now because I want to leave those blank. So I'm going to go ahead and put that they're spending an average of $950 keeping a roof over their head. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to add these in together at the end of this. So car payment. Now, for those of you guys know, I am not a big fan of debt. So hopefully you don't have a car payment. If you do have a car payment, and having a car payment I know is so simple and it's so easy. But as you can see later, it does add up a bit. So we're going to assume that this person has a $300 a month car payment. Because it's a newer car, that also means that her insurance is higher. So I'm going to assume about $100 a month in insurance. I know in New England, insurance on a new car can vary wildly. As a mobile groomer in New England, I pay almost $5,000 a year for my grooming van's insurance, which is insane. I know a lot of you guys are very lucky who are mobile and are only paying an average of, someone was telling me like $1,200, and not including their business, but just their mobile mobile insurance. And I was like, I wish just my mobile insurance is about $5,000. And I don't have any accidents. I don't have anything like that. I am just that unlucky, unfortunately. Let's talk about gas. I am going to assume she lives fairly close, but I feel like $25 a week in gas is really average. So I'm going to put $100 a month she spends in gas. And if you guys think that these numbers are a little bit off, I would love to hear your opinion. You can go ahead and type in the chat box. Again, I know right now our average gas price is $2.50, which really isn't that bad. But let's be honest. I mean, we may very soon get back up to $4 a gallon. And when we do, that $100 gas will end up doubling almost. So, but I think $100 assumed is a good price. Car maintenance, again, car maintenance is very much like our seasonal clothing. We're going to probably do a sinking fund because hopefully every month you are not putting any maintenance in your car. But even though she has a newer car, she really does need to put money aside because depending upon how many miles she drives, depending upon what kind of vehicle she has, if she has a regular car, not an electric or a diesel car, she's going to need a oil change every 3,000 miles. She's probably going to need tires every 1 to 2 years, depending upon the terrain. I know in New England, our tires are really bad because between all the salt, and I live near the ocean, so the salt from that, and any other regular car maintenance. So I think $50 a month is a pretty good savings. And I'm actually going to put maintenance here instead of repairs because I'm assuming if she has a car payment that it's a fairly newer car. And so I'm going to assume it's just maintenance. It's not repairs. So we're going to do our quick math right here, and I'm going to add that up. Don't mind me. So we have 300, 100, 150. So she spends an average of $550 a month on her car. And it's really interesting when you look at it, because right here we can see that she spends what she spends on her vehicle, she spends about 10% of that on her clothes. And then she spends more on her car than she does her food. And it actually costs her only $400 more a month to live in a house or an apartment than it does her car. And that's going to be important later because, again, her income is about $2,000 a month. So we want to actually look at how much that would be. Okay, so now we have here what I call our starter emergency fund. This is really important. In a perfect world, the minimum you would have in your savings account would be between $500 and $1,000. Because we are pet groomers, it's very important for us to be able to have that money aside because God forbid we get bit, God forbid we throw our back out. Like we have a very physical job, and because of that, we want to be able to have some money set aside. Now, as you guys know, I actually prefer 3 to 6 months worth of expenses if you are an employee, or 6 months to a year if you are a business owner. But I think to start having $500 to $1,000, especially where this person is making $2,000 a month, that would be great. So I see someone need Bacon God here. Hi, Bacon God. Good to see you. Welcome here. Okay, so this is the basics of what we call survive. So this is just the 4 walls. This is food, this is clothes, this is a roof over your head, and this is getting themselves to work. And so when you add this up really quickly, let's add that in now. And again, we do recognize that the clothing and the repairs are a sinking fund, but that's still important because at some point your car is definitely going to need to have, even an oil change, which can easily be just $50 right there. Tires, I don't know about you guys, my tires are $400 when I need to replace them. And so having that money set aside, so at $400, that would be almost 8 months saving at $50. So that's where it's important to be going ahead and saving that aside. So right now, before we even get into Live or Thrive, this person is already at $1,900. So she only has $100 left to spend. So let's see what happens when she gets into the next stage. All right, guys. So here is Live. So first things first, I'm assuming this person is an employee. So she would probably be paying her own sharpening, blade and scissor repair, and also clipper and tool repair. And I don't know about you, but I am always buying new clippers. I'm sending mine out regularly. I send my blades out at least every 3 to 4 months. And I try to send my clippers out about every 6 months to a year, depending upon how often I am using them. Bacon God, you have to wait a second. I know. Bacon God says, I see a problem with the budget. So here's the thing, is at this point, we're assuming this person has sharpening, blade, scissor replacement, and clipper tool. But let's put that aside because first things first, everyone needs their cell phone. So we're going to assume that she has a very simple plan. I know I have Verizon. They rake me over the coals. I spend way too much money. So let's go ahead and look at, so let's assume she's spending $75 a month on her budget. Again, she probably, I don't know about you guys, I spend $100 a month on my personal cell phone. So 75, I feel like, is on the lower end. She also enjoys Bacon God is saying there's no column for supply and purchase. So Bacon God, this is actually a personal budget. So this would be a personal budget for a pet groomer. So this is not a business budget. This is for an employee who will have to maintain their own sharpening, blade, scissor repair, clipper, and tool repairs. And this is the very simple version of our personal budget. If you want a budget that is for a business, we also have that, as well as a much more in-depth version of this that is in our online course. So no worries. This is one of the things that we're all learning about. I wanted to make this very simple because I'll be very frank. I created a 12-week course teaching people how to budget and get their finances under an order, and to condense, an entire week's worth of content into an hour of this thing is a little difficult. So, just kind of hold on. And if you have any questions, so again, with the business stuff, I think that's so important. I think our business budget is so important. But as you're going to see in this simple budget, very often we end up using our business like our personal piggy bank, because what happens is instead of looking at what we're actually spending, we end up taking our personal money and putting it into the business, or vice versa. So let's go back to our groomer example. So again, we said that she is spending $75 on her cell phone, and let's say she has fairly fast internet, and we're going to say she's spending $50 a month on internet. She doesn't have cable, because who the hell has cable anymore? But she's a modern girl, so she spends $25 because right now she's got Netflix and Hulu, or Amazon, or, I'm a big fan of The Mandalorian right now. Who doesn't love Baby Yoda? So she might have Disney Plus. So let's say she has two of those streaming. Now, right now, if we go here, don't mind me, just taking a drink. I know you can't see it. It's really kind of nice. I'm like sitting here sucking on my drink. So, $125 and $25. So, Bacon God and Jared, here's the thing. Right now, she's already over. So she only had $100, and now she's already spent $150. So this groomer is already $50 over budget. And this is, again, her personal budget. So we're only in Live. So at this point, she has no money to do any sharpening, blade or scissor repair, clipper, tool repair. She has no money to buy a book. She has no pocket money. Her dogs and cats are obviously going to starve to death. And again, I have little questions on here, and we talk about fortifying that emergency fund, but she doesn't even have any money. She's got to cut out, what is it, $50? So she's going to have to cut out $50 from her budget. So when we go down to Thrive, and again, Thrive is all of the stuff that we don't think about, but is so important. So she has no money for health insurance. She has no money for life insurance. She has no disability insurance, which in the pet grooming industry, we need disability insurance. There is no, I call it the career-ending bite, which is a small sinking fund that if you have to change jobs, what are you going to change jobs with? She can't give any money to charity. She, can't even really take any extra time. Because like if you are already $50 in the hole and you can't even do any of these things, the last thing you want to do is spend time giving to others. She has no money for trade shows. She has no money to get any new books or DVDs. She can't buy an online course. She definitely can't get hands-on training. And that dream of becoming a business owner or having a business consultant to help her build that business, there's no way. And so that's where our groomer is. And as is, what is she going to give up right now? I'm looking. Either she's going to not have any money for clothing, so when her shoes fall apart, she can't do it. Maybe she is going to get rid of her car maintenance and she's not going to save any money, so her car will just fall apart. And then when it breaks down, she's still got that car payment. Maybe she's going to cut out her coffee and be a crankpot. Maybe she's going to cut back on eating out, but that means that she's going to have less time in the morning or in the evening because cooking food from scratch, or maybe she's going to eat less healthy food. So with this groomer, I would want her to really look at where she is financially and does her ratios work. For instance, I would say to this groomer, if you are earning $2,000 a month, your goal is for your rent to be 25% or less. The truth is, it's very, very, very difficult to find rent at $500. I am in New England. That is not even a possibility, unless if you have like 4 roommates. I'm sure in other places it's cheaper and they're more likely to. So this groomer really has to decide, is she going to figure out a way to live less, or is she going to pick up a second job? Is she going to pick up a job somewhere where she makes more money? What she's going to do. Because ultimately, the math just doesn't work here. The math she's having here just doesn't work. Because in this scenario, and again, I know we're using low amounts, but I know that most groomers that are working corporate are making an average of $500 or less, or up to $1,000 a week. At $1,000 a week, she's in much, much better standing. But still, there's a lot of things that are going to get cut, especially if she's going to want to save up and grow her own business. And if this was a business owner, a lot of these other things would fall to the wayside too, because now that she's $50 short, she's probably going to take that $50 from the business. And these other things like audiobooks or her pet's food, because let's be honest, our pets always eat way better. Like, I will eat ramen all day as long as my dog and cat can eat raw. Why? I don't know, because they matter to me and they're important. And, I chose to get them. I didn't actually get pregnant with a standard poodle. I went out and I intentionally got her. So her health matters more than my personal health. But this groomer here, even if they're a business owner, they don't have the money for disability insurance. They don't have money for online courses and all of that. So with this groomer, we would really want them to consider looking at their current employment or deciding to make bold changes. Like maybe they have to figure out how to get out of this car payment, or in a way that they can pay the car off quickly. Because we didn't even go over debt in this. We didn't even talk about credit card debt. We didn't talk about student loans. We didn't talk about any of that. All we're doing in this moment is just looking at basic survival, basic living expenses. So I want to really appreciate everyone here that we're going through this. And then I want to walk through really quick our little commission-based budget. And I know this is really crude. And again, this is a very simple budgeting format. So what's nice about this is that if I'm a big fan of online budgeting tools. I love EveryDollar, everydollar.com. It's an app. You can put it on your desktop. It's everywhere. I use mine and I track all of my expenses because I like to track them and make sure that I'm actually spending what I'm supposed to be spending, because I am a Starbucks addict and I will $6 to $7 coffee myself to death. I am that kind of person that I don't generally have 5 coffees a week. I generally have 10. And it makes me a very happy person. So I'm okay with that. So let's talk really quick about our commission-based budget. So I'm assuming that groomer making $2,000 a week, $2,000 a month rather, is probably on commission. And we're going to assume that she generally makes about $500 a week. So if she knows she's really living close on the edge and she needs that extra $50, what she might do in this commission-based budget is once a week she would write in here, how many dogs she did or whatever it is that she wants to do it. So my old grooming salon, and now I'm not going to talk about, Rhode Island cat grooming, but I used to own the Green Paw Spa. Green Paw commission I'm just going to put week 1, but I'm sure she would put the dates on here. I'm going to say that she thought this week, she was going to make $500. And let's say instead she made $550. That's good. So you can do what I would normally do is plus 50. Whoop. There we go. Great. And so again, the next week, green paw commission. I like that it tries to help me, but it's not super helpful. Week 2. And again, she'd probably put the dates in. Let's say she's budgeting $500. And let's say this week she only got $400, which really blows. So what does she do? That would be negative $100. Now, I would do a running total for the same day. You could do a running total for your total here. I generally like to be able to see that week what I thought. And let's do again the same week. And again, let's say we're going to assume she's going to make $500. But this week she does great and she makes $650. That's great. That's next year. And the important thing about all of this that we're seeing here, you might be like, why does this really matter, putting in this commission-based budget? Well, we have to create what we call the line. The line is anything below this line doesn't count. So let's say, for instance, the first amount of money she gets, she's going to spend on the rent. So here at $550 and $400, she can then pay the rent, which is $850. And she can pay one other bill. What do you guys think she should pay for? So right now, she's got an extra $50. So she had $550 and then 9, which is $950. So I'm sorry, she's actually got another, right? $100? Yep. So another $100. So if I come back up here and I'm thinking like this person who is very destitute, they're having a really hard time struggling, I would first personally, because that's who I am, I would make sure I have a roof over my head. Then I might make sure I have food in my pantry. So I'm going to say that she has $100 here in groceries. I'm going to try and line that up a little better. All right, food. So right now our groomer has paid her rent and she spent $100 on food, which is really not a lot. And we're on week 2. So here we come to week 3. And now she made some extra money. So she has right now $650. And at $650, we go back and we say, okay, what should she buy? Well, this is where this groomer can really start to make some decisions. So in theory, she's going to spend $350 on her food. However, this next paycheck, she may want to pay her car payment, her insurance, and make sure she has some gas. I don't know about you guys, but it's pretty important to get to work. So let's say she spends her $500 on the payment, the insurance, and the gas. And now you guys see why I didn't do week 4. So let's say she does car payment, gas, insurance. And so that was, how much was that, guys? I want you to come all the way over here, but you're not going to, are you? You're a stinker. I'm actually going to write car payment, gas, insurance. And that was a total of $500. So that means that she now has $150 that she can work on. So at $150, what else should she spend her money on? Again, this is really tough because we're really tight. Maybe she wants to make sure she has a cell phone. I don't think that's a bad idea because you need to be able to communicate with other people. So let's go ahead and down here and let's say she spends her cell phone. Ooh. Okay. So now she has, make sure my math is right. That is always the tough part, right? We want to make sure. So that was $550. Don't mind me, la 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 la. Great. So we have 650 minus 575. So we have $75 left. I'm not really sure post for advertising in this as well. So this is a personal budget. This is not a business budget. And so that I want to make that really clear. So this is a groomer's personal budget. There is more complicated business budgets, but before we can talk about business budgets, I want to make sure that you guys have your personal budget under control. And the reason why is because the reason that most of these businesses are failing is because what happens with our businesses is that if we don't know how much is personally going on in our life, we use our business like our personal piggy bank. So what ends up happening is in your business, let's say you are short on money to do something. You're going to cut back your paycheck. And if you cut back your paycheck, then you're not actually paying attention to how much you're spending. And in this example, this is let's say an employee groomer, and she's already $50 short, and we're assuming that she's earning $2,000 a month, and her bills average $2,050. And that's not including important things like insurance and sharpening her tools and saving for things like paying off debt. And so when we're working through this, I want to show you guys how it's important to budget, but also work on your commission budget where you're actually going through things and highlighting what is the most important. And so you can see here, week 1, she assumed she was making $500 and she made $550. Week 2, she assumed she'd make $500, but she only made $400. And then by week 2, she was able to pay her rent at $850 and also put $100 worth of groceries in her house. Week 3, she thought she was going to earn $500, but thankfully she earned $650. She was able to pay her car payment, save $100 for gas and insurance, which is $500, and then also pay her cell phone. And at this point, she has $75 less from week 3. So we're going to go back and find out what other bill she can pay for $75. And what a lot of groomers will do here is they'll see internet and subscriptions. So they'll pay Hulu, Netflix, whatever it is, and their internet and be like, okay, those need to get paid. But if I were her, I would either put the money towards electricity, hot food and water, maybe more food in the pantry, depending upon how much you can make food stretch. $200 a month in groceries is not a lot of money. $100 eating out seems like a lot until you're actually going out to eat and you realize how quickly that can go. So I'm going to assume that she is going to be wise and put her electricity. So let's say she's going to pay her electricity. So then she has $25 left. And again, you would be writing this in, or you can do it this way, whatever is easier. So then week 4 of the month comes. And let's say she assumes she's going to make $500 again. And let's say this month she actually does make exactly that amount of money, $500 that week. So again, she has $25 less, so she has $525. And now she's got to figure out, is she going to be able to pay everything and what is going to go below the line? So below the line is anything that you are not going to be able to pay. So in this instance, you can see where she's basically evened out to the amount of money that she assumed she should make, maybe a little bit of extra. Let's look at that right now. So she earned $550 the first week she worked. Then she earned $400. She got a little boost at $650. Maybe it was right before Thanksgiving. And then $500. So she's made an extra $100. So in this month, she'll have $50 left over. However, if she had had less money, that money would not have been left over and she would have had to cut the $50. And this is always the gamble whenever we do a commission-based business or a commission-based job, is that our income fluctuates. And sometimes it's in our favor and sometimes it's not. Had she been in the $400 weeks where she ended up having less money, let's say that happened twice, instead of twice this month she went over, then she would be in a lot of trouble. As is, she's already really close because as you can see, she does not have disability insurance. She does not have enough money to be able to start, growing herself as a groomer. She cannot afford, when we're back here and live, she cannot afford to sharpen her tools, have blade or scissor replacement, or put her clippers out for tool repair. And again, if you don't have these things and you're doing business, whether you're working for Petco or PetSmart or you're working for a small business, ultimately you need to maintain your tools. Now, if you're a business owner, your business should be maintaining these items. Your business should be paying for a lot of things. However, most people use their business and their personal account as the same item. Your business and your personal account are two very separate things. In a perfect world, you should be taking your money and splitting it. So you should be paying yourself either as an employee or at least taking an owner's draw that is steady. And the reason you should be doing that is because, let's say, for instance, you want to spend money on advertising, which we all should. And how you choose to advertise really depends upon your personal business. I mean, that's the fun thing. Hi guys, nice to see you again. So what I want to say is, whoop, bloop, la 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 la. This is just my face again, like a floating head. So I wanted to say is that the whole point of this is your personal budget. And I know a lot of guys don't think that your personal budget is very fun or very sexy or very important. But this is the most important thing, because if your personal life is in shambles, your business is going to fall apart. And when you don't have an employer, then guess what's going to happen? If you mess up your personal life and you have to eat into your business is going to eventually fail. And if your business fails, you're going to be an employee anyway. So let's focus on how we can get this under control. Start doing a basic budget. Oh, thank you, Dick Dawson. I want to let you guys, if you would like this PDF, you can go ahead and post below. I will be making a I'm going to be putting it on my website after this, I guess I'd call it show, this week's show, because I want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity. If you want these little PDFs, they're really nice. They're really, really simple. They're meant to be simple. I want you guys to begin thinking about this. Again, this was a 40-minute presentation when, I have a 12-week online course where I teach you how to thoroughly go through how to create a budget as a pet groomer. And I cannot fit 12 weeks worth of content in an hour. I wish I could, but if you want that kind of transformation, I would love to teach you guys more about that. My online course is called Personal Finance on a Leash, and it is really wonderful. I am very happy with it. I had one student who I adore named Paige, and she was able to pay off $14,000 worth of debt in only 12 weeks. And a lot of that was just simply her not paying attention to where her money was going. So if you are looking for that kind of financial transformation, you can definitely go to my website, which is savvygroomer.com. If you want to go directly learn more about my online course, it's savvygroomer.com/enroll. So I want to open everything up to hear any questions you guys may have. I'm happy to answer them. Again, if you guys are looking for a business budget, I'm happy to do that, but I would actually really love if somebody was willing to let me use theirs, as my mobile budget is very, very different than when I had a shop. When I had my shop with 5 employees and a very different business model, I had a totally different budget than with my mobile. What's nice about my mobile is it's really streamlined. It's one van, one person. I do have an employee now, but it's just a little bit different. It's just a very different situation. So I want to thank you again so much. I'm going to give you guys a minute or two to go ahead and post any questions if you have them. If there are no questions, then that's perfectly great. And I will put in the description, probably by tomorrow, the website where you guys can get this PDF and you can download it for yourself, print it out, do whatever you want with it. Feel free, employers and business owners, to share this with your employees. This is a great way for them to start paying attention. I find there are so many groomers that are unhappy as groomers, and I think that's very important. I think that if you are happy as a groomer, you don't have to open up your own, business. Like, you don't have to. You can be happy as an employee. And I think that a lot of the people that are unhappy as employees, it's because you're either not living within your means or you think you're going to make more money as a business owner. And a lot of times you don't. You just use your business as your personal piggy bank so you have access to more money. Dick is saying, I know someone in my town who should be watching you. I'll send them over. So Dick, I have this live show called Grow Wealthy Grooming every Monday at 7 p.m. And we have different topics. And if they want to send a topic to me, it's savvygroomer at gmail.com. They can always send me an idea we want to go through. I just stay away from taxes because tax changes all the time. And I stay away from employment law because that is, again, always changing, especially with the new Californian laws, which are fascinating. LRJ88 says, if you could have both a short form and a long form explanation of your budget, that would be nice. One for going through it in detail and one on the back, one to look back on and just get the immediate information. Well, the thing I will say is this, is that I created this video because I want to do a crash course in what I'm doing. I have an online course. It is 12 weeks where we walk through step by step on how to do a budget. There's no way to understand the fundamentals of a budget in a short form. And to be perfectly honest, there are so many other places that you can get budgeting information if you really want to. I create things for groomers, by groomers, and understanding why you're not budgeting is more important than understanding how to budget. Because having the knowledge on how to do something, you're still not going to do it. I mean, a lot of people, I'm going to show them exactly how to do it, and you're not going to do it. You need the fundamental reason why you're not doing it. And in my online course, we talk about our emotions around money. We talk about why you're not saving for retirement. We talk about setting yourself up in a situation where you're going to make rituals and habits and actually be able to change that. You know, I'm more than happy to give this free video and you can rewatch it and go through it as many times as you would like and have the PDF here to use. You can create your own on Excel. There is everydollar.com, which is an amazing online app that's free. You can use it on the desktop or your phone that you can actually do a zero-based budget right through there. So there are so many ways to do it. However, if you want to learn why and how in the really deep dive on how to do a budget, I would really, really suggest doing my online course. I also have 2 different webinars for pet groomers. I have How Can I Afford This, where we go through how to break down small savings goals rather, under $2,000. And then I also have Where Is My Money Going, where we focus on looking at where your spending is going. So there's a lot of resources that I offer for free. I'm here every week. So if you have specific questions, I'm happy to do that. It's all about what is important to you. And again, what I can do with you guys in an hour is not enough to really do a deep dive. You know, a long form explanation of a giant wall of text. You know, there are so many things online. I mean, if you want a good book, Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University is wonderful. It is probably about 300 to 500 pages. It's, nice. It's a great book. You can definitely read that, and it teaches you more about budgeting. There's lots of ways to learn, and budgeting is so important. I love it so much. I know it sounds really weird. Like, why would you love budgeting? I love budgeting because it tells my money where to go. For those of you guys that don't know me, I've been a pet groomer for over 10 years. I don't want to admit how long because then I can tell people how old I am. But I opened up my first grooming salon 4 days before my son was born because we lived in my car. I was pregnant and alone, and I had to make my grooming salon work. So I went from having very, very little money to being able to buy a house within 4 years. My son goes to private school. We're very comfortable. And a lot of that I really do admit is because, sorry, I don't mean to be emotional. A lot of that is because I made every dollar work for me. I made sure that every dollar counted because every dollar was an hour away from my son. So every time I groomed a dog, it was an hour away from my son. It was sacrifice, and money is freedom. And so you have to trade your time for money. And so when you give away your money, you want to make sure you're giving it away to something that actually matters. I see Jared is saying, what do you believe is the major hurdle people face when a budget is recommended? I tell people all the time, your budget really is the appointment book for your finances. And if you're a pet groomer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you looked at this like an appointment book and you were like, ugh, I don't want to have to write all my appointments down. I'm just going to let people show up whenever they want. Well, that gets a little crazy because, if you think about that, if you had an appointment book for your finances, right? So you want to think about like in a grooming salon. If I have an appointment book and let's say I just say everyone can show up anytime today between 8 and 3 in the afternoon. Well, what are you going to do when the one-seater husky shows up at noon and you've got like an aggressive Scotty on the table, right? Or you've got pug nails showing up when they don't have an appointment and you've got, a crazy lab in the tub. Your entire thing it just ends up crazy. And so that's what happens with budgeting is if you don't make it make sense for you. And again, this is what makes sense to me. My online course really, really, really explains it all. But the goal is to make sure that your money is working for you. And the whole point of it, honestly, is that you want to make sure everything is scheduled in. And everyone does it differently. So I use the example again of your appointment book for your finances. I like my large woolly dogs. I only groom cats now. But when I was grooming large dogs in my salon, I liked my one-seater huskies, shepherds, God forbid Newfies, as the last dog of the day. Why? Because to me, I wanted to be able to just bath and blow dry and get the hair everywhere and then just clean it with everybody. But some people like at the beginning of the day because they feel like that's an easier thing than doing a Shih Tzu haircut. Or I would rather have easier and then do the bath and blow dry at the end of the day. And the same thing is true with this budget. I explained how I would do it. I explained how I would prioritize things. I personally prioritize keeping a roof over my head. I would lose my cell phone before I would lose the roof over my head. I would lose a car before I would lose a roof over my head. And everybody has different opinions on that. Sometimes we make the bad decision of making eating out or coffee come before, for instance, utilities. And choosing it and making sense of it is what's important. So I want to thank you guys, and I'm going to leave it open again if you have more questions. I love answering questions. I love being here for you guys. Everybody is so different, and I think that's the beautiful thing. I can teach you guys what I know. I can teach you guys what I think, but ultimately, it's whatever you guys want to do. And this was a very crash course, very quick explanation of how to do a groomer budget. And again, I did it based upon an employee earning $2,000 a month. And that's again important because if you focus on something like this, which is very simple, and you get it down pat, then you can start talking about your business budgeting and you can talk about a business owner's budget. Because as a business owner myself and who's been a business owner for over 9 years, which is insane when I think about that, my income is really secondary to whatever the business needs. I can't take money home and pay my, utilities if the utilities at the shop aren't on. Because if my shop doesn't have utilities, then guess what? I can't make money. So again, that's where we first need to make sure we know how much our business needs to pay us as an employee, because then we can make sure that our home life is taken care of. Because as much as it would suck to not pay the house and utilities, because the shop utility has to get paid first, you also can't live at your shop. I've done that. It's really not pleasant. So again, it's all about priorities. It's about making everything happen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a fantastic opportunity to work with you guys. I am so happy that you guys have been here with me. I really love budgeting, like I said. If you have questions for me, you can always email me at savvygroomer@gmail.com. Check out my website at savvygroomer.com. You can find me on Facebook. I have my Savvy Groomer Facebook page, which is facebook.com/growwealthygrooming. And we will be here every single Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, here to discuss the questions you have about either, all things groomer and groomer business. All right, guys, it's been great talking with you. Happy grooming.